live. Welcome, everybody, back to the next episode of Florida Moto Talk, where we come together to talk about bikes, we talk about racing, we talk about MotoGP, World Superbike, AMA, and pretty much anything in between related to motorcycle riding. And today we are doing another interview. We have a very special one set up. This guy, been watching him for a little while. Nice, real nice kid, man. Real nice kid on a bike, lots of skill. Definitely one of the new up and comers. Um, He's from up north. He's one of our neighbors up in Canada, and this guy, I mean, he's done it all so far. From club racing to Canadian Superbike, running in that series, and now he's down here in MotoAmerica racing with the Twins Cup. But if you haven't noticed already, we got Bryce DeBoer here with us today, man. What's up? How you doing, bro?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. Are you still down here in the States, or are you back home, or where are you at now?
Right now, we just got back to Canada. I'm on the home farm right now. Uh, like 3 days ago, we were in Barber, and then we came home, and then we did a track day at Grand Bend yesterday, and then now we're back at the home farm.
Oh man, I guess you just live on the road pretty much then, huh?
We've been driving a fair bit, it seems. Yeah,
That's
luckily,
wild.
most of it I get to sleep.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And I guess you're gonna be headed back down here soon?
Yeah, I guess not this weekend, but the next weekend we'll be down there, and we're leaving on Wednesday to head
Sweet.
down next Wednesday.
All right, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's living the life. So then headed straight to Barber, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. See what happens there. Hopefully, we can do a little bit better than Atlanta because that was an eye opener for me. But yeah, hopefully we can uh, qualify a little bit better and then get farther up there in the race and learn a bit more for Road
Sweet.
America.
Yeah, and you practiced at Barber, but was that your first time there? Have you been there before?
I did one practice session before that, and then that was my second time, like second track day at Barber. But I've never raced there before, so yeah, I'm getting comfortable with Barber, and the lap times are coming down and everything. So, and I'm getting more used to the R7 too, because it's my first year riding a Twins Cup bike. So yeah, like last year I rode all R6s and stuff, and it's definitely a bigger, faster bike and everything like that. But even just getting comfortable on the R7 and the power band of it, kind of, and having that low like torque compared to the R6, which is like all high strung. It took me a second to get used to it, but I'm wrapping my head around it now and everything. And like at Atlanta, I never did a track day at Atlanta before the weekend there, and then
Oh wow.
it was a bit of a cluster actually at Atlanta. Like we showed up, and then the first practice session was in the rain. So then we went out with obviously rain tires, but we didn't put the stickers on the tires because we didn't even know you had to do that. So then we missed the first half of the session. We only got like 4 or 5 solid laps in the rain before the practice session was done. And then it was qualifying in the dry there, which was, I think it was a 25-minute qualifying session. So then luckily, like during that qualifying session, I was able to like learn the track and figure out where I was going because I only had like 4 laps on it before the qualifying session in the rain there. So it was a totally different game in the dry. And those S bends for me were really tricky. So the first like few laps in the dry, I was really off pace, but I'm just glad that I was able to even qualify for that at Road Atlanta race.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty amazing, dude. I mean that just shows your skill level right there, man. I mean you just show up and get it done, right? I
Trying to
mean
learn
you, yeah, I
stuff.
mean you got to work with what you got. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're gonna swing back around to that for sure. But I mean you've ridden in a lot of series at this point, man. So I mean just just tell me like a little bit about yourself, man, and kind of how you got started.
Um, Honestly, I don't even know. I rode dirt bikes around the farm ever since I was little, kind of just mucking around with friends, doing all of that. And then I bought a smashed up R3 because my dad way back in the day used to ride street bikes and whatnot. So then I bought a smashed up one, trying to fix it up. And then I actually ended up fixing up a few of those bikes and riding them on the road here and there. And then my
Mhm.
dad didn't like that. I rode them to school actually every day, and it was awesome. And then that got kind of old, and then we were like, we should go to Grand Bend, which is like our local track, and check it out. So then we did a few track days on like just a street R3, and that was 3 years ago now.
Mhm.
So yeah, and then from there the year after that we did like a few track days the first year on just a stock R3, and then we got a Ninja 400, and we did the CSBK twin, or not twin, sorry, the lightweight superbike class that they have there, and the
Yeah.
Soul, which is like Southern Ontario racing, lightweight twins cup class that they had. And yeah, that was my second year of racing. And then from there, we somehow, luckily, we managed to actually win the championship in CSBK. So then we got bumped out of the lightweight class, and we weren't allowed to like run it again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then we had to go to the SuperSport class, because in Canada they didn't really have like a Twins Cup class yet. So then we went straight from the Ninja 400 to the R6, and then from the R6 last year, now we're going to the Twins Cup, and the R6 is a little bit in MotoAmerica.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of up to date where we're at now.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, that would that have been 2022 where you won the title?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I
I
was looking.
actually, it's funny because the title, there's two separate, there's an amateur division and a pro division, but
Mhm.
they run in the same race. Or sorry, there was two separate races, and you could enter the pro race as an amateur. And the way that they did it was the top amateur still got a championship in the pro class. So then somehow I ended up getting like actually two championships that year, weirdly. It was
Nice. And then
fun, yeah.
they bump you out of the class if you win it.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
What
Or if you
what's
get top three. And then that's the
okay.
same thing with actually last year with I rode a blue R6 around, and that was amateur 600 class that they had here.
Yeah.
And if you get top three, or I think it's top five actually, in the amateur 600 class, you get promoted to like a pro racer. So then you get put into like the provision or the professional classes and everything. So then now this year would be my first year like in the pro 600 class and everything. So yeah, we'll see how that goes too.
Yeah, man. And then you race Wira as well.
Yeah, yeah. We just race Weira whenever it makes sense for us to like Talladega there. We didn't even really know that it was a race weekend.
Oh,
We just showed up for the STT track day, and
yeah.
then people were talking about how it was like a Weira weekend and there was going to be racing, and then we weren't sure if we could register, but everybody was like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And then yeah, that's how we got into that first Weira race there. But other than that, I think we're gonna maybe try to do the Road Atlanta round with Weira, and then I think that might be it, unless something else lines up.
Nice. Very cool. There's there'll be an endurance race there too if you're interested.
Oh, huh. That'd be good for
Yeah.
burner.
That would be good. Just hours and hours on the track.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Was that your first Wira race too?
Excuse me?
Was that your first Wira race as well, or have you been racing with Wira for a little bit?
No, that was our first actual race in the States that
Okay.
week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
It's pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah. How
I
was
actually like Talladega. Even some people rip on it because it's a smaller kind of track compared to like Barber.
Mhm.
But I think it's really fun just for testing and learning, you know?
Yeah, I like Talladega, but
Yeah.
people get spoiled when they ride Barber and Road Atlanta. All those guys
Yeah.
up there are locals to the bigger tracks. So,
Yeah. Good
man,
for burner.
that's pretty cool. How was the competition in your classes with Wira? Just out of curiosity,
Honestly,
compared to up north, anyways.
oh, I haven't even. up north in our 600 class, there's some pretty tight competition for sure. And there's some superbike guys that are actually dropping down this year into the sport bike class, kind of. So
Mhm.
there's the grid this year is pretty stacked up for the 600 class. But this year in Canada is the first year for the Twins Cup class. So we're not sure how big the grid's gonna be there. But at Weira, like there was a few fast people for sure, but most of the bikes that I was racing against too were maybe not as fast as mine. So it was I had a little bit of an advantage for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, make sure you let everybody know that we're legit, man.
Yeah. That was a great time. It was fun. But like there's still competition there and there's more people in my class than what I thought like would originally be.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was fun.
So yeah. So you've only been racing for a couple years now, then.
Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
So it's pretty funny actually. I don't know if you know the name John Cornwell.
I don't think so.
He's well, Jake Gagne. So
Yeah.
John is kind of I don't what would you call that? Jake Gagne's crew chief,
Okay.
John Cornwell, and he's from Canada. So
Nice.
we buy our. This is kind of how I got into it. Also, was we buy our tractors from Stewart's Farm Equipment, which is in Erin, Ontario here.
Mhm.
And ironically, John Cornwell buys his chainsaws that he uses for home maintenance there, and he gets them serviced there too. So then one time we were over at this dealership getting a generator for our tire warmers and everything, and we were telling them what we were doing. And then they said, "Oh, well, you should give John Cornwell a call because he races street bikes and knows everything about it." So then, yeah, we got linked up with him, and then ever since then, like without John, none of this would have been possible. Like he's the guy who sorts everything out for me and helps me out. Like, and yeah, without him, I wouldn't be racing probably.
That's very cool, man. So he's pretty much your crew chief too, then at this point.
I go over to his house a lot, it seems, and he helps me. Like all the bikes that I ride in Canada are built with John. I help like that's the other thing I really like to do is work on bikes, just like put them together and stuff. I'm not like building engines or stuff. I just like to put the motors in the frames and piece them together and everything. And
Mhm.
John, and he helps me out, and he actually is the guy who taught me how to do all of that stuff, kind of. So
Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So how big is your team right now then?
So right now, it's me, Glenn Veach, who is a guy that he's been around AMA for a long time, and
Mhm.
he's the guy who built the R7 that I'm riding. And John actually is who hooked us up with him, and he worked for HSBK for a couple years here and there, and he did some other stuff with Brandon Posh. But yeah, so and then it's just him and my dad.
Nice.
Between the three of us, we're gonna try to make something happen.
Yeah, and I mean that can be pretty tough at times, I imagine too. Just you three
Yeah,
guys going against the big teams and everything, right?
yeah, that's and the cost too, like of just like the logistics of everything with MotoAmerica, like and
Yeah.
even that one track day at Barber, like, and we don't have big sponsors either, right? Like we're not a factory team, so it's yeah, it's pretty hard to make it to all the rounds.
Yeah.
But
We
we'll see what we can do with all of that.
We talked to this one guy, they call him Tuna on one of our other episodes, and he does like the records to checkers thing where if you haven't heard of it, he pretty much took like a soda canned Daytona 675 and then built it to race AMA and SuperSport. And he was at Atlanta too. But I asked him this too, and I'm wondering what you think about it too, but because he's in the same situation, just a privateer guy, just getting out there and doing his thing and racing with the big
Yeah,
teams. But when you're going against these, factory guys and with these fully stocked teams, and they have just a whole army of people that support them. Does that kind of get inside of your head a little bit, or how do you do? I mean, is that something that you have to deal with, or?
Honestly, I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool to be on the track with those guys. Like
Mhm.
when I see them, I'm not racing against Rocco Landers yet. Like I'm not up there at the front of the row yet. But when I see them on the track, it doesn't stress me out. It's like, oh, it's obvious that they're going to be faster than me, and they
Yeah.
have weight support and everything like that. But it's just that. Like I'm doing my own race, and if I get up there with them, that's awesome. But I'm not gonna let it get in my head. Like I rode Atlanta, I'd never been there before, even so. That was really, I was just figuring it out, Just trying
Yeah.
not to let it get in my head. That's kind of the main thing. Like it's just a race. It's
Yeah. Just a
a
race and
big
have
race.
fun.
Yeah, they're people
Mhm.
too, I guess. You know.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is is the racing, and I was talking to Andrew about this too, but is the racing at the like at that the pro level, is it getting more popular up in Canada, you think, or is it kind of similar to how popular it is down here? What do you think?
No, it's definitely less popular in Canada compared to like CSBK compared to Moto America. It's definitely a lot smaller. Like I think Moto America has like 1 million followers on Instagram, and I think CSBK has like maybe 3 or 4 thousand.
Hmm.
So, but the competition in CSBK is like pretty stacked yet. Like Ben Young, he's the superbike like champion here. Like he's
Hmm.
raced British Superbike before and stuff like that. And Trevor Daly and Ben Young, they did the Daytona 200 this year and stuff. Like they're really good riders. So, and like it's definitely noticeable that a couple years ago, Bridgestone bought the over the series for Canada. So everybody had like the spec tire is Bridgestone.
Yeah.
So, ever since then, it seems like they've put a lot of money and time into like promoting this year. It seems to be taking a turn like in a good direction, but it's definitely not the same like as Moto America is. Yeah,
N-
for sure.
so was that the Atlanta round, kind of like a shock for you too? Because I mean, that's a huge. I mean, it's the opener. I mean, that crowd was massive. Was that a little bit different for you, or?
Oh man, yeah. Like in CSBK, there's no tractor trailers really in the paddock. So when
Mhm.
you see Attack Yamaha and like uh, M4 and everybody with their big toy haulers and or not toy haulers, sorry, like tractor trailers and like all the teams set up on the lower paddock. It was like,
Mhm.
wow, this isn't just a little like this is a big thing right now for me. Like it was really cool to see. Yeah. But then
Nice.
once you kind of got used to it, yeah, you could wrap your head around it. It wasn't too scary.
Very cool, man. And
Yeah.
I guess your first race would have been dry, but the second was the full wet race, right?
Yeah, that one was sketchy.
Well, how'd the first race go? Let's start there.
First race was actually really good. Like I wasn't sure what to expect at all with any of these guys because, as I said, right, like we qualified. It was a total cluster in the qualifying. Like we only got 4 laps in the wet and the practice, and then we went out to qualify, which was like 25 minutes to figure it out. And I've never been on Road Atlanta before, so like we qualified. We just made the qualifying basically, and that meant like I started from 22nd, like right on the back of the grid. So I didn't know where I was gonna stack up at all near the end of the race. So I was just trying to finish the race basically. But then off the line, like I got a really good start, and I got up to 10th, and then I finished 13th in the dry, and then in the rain, I think I finished 14th.
Nice. Was it
Yeah.
pretty hard to get that rain setup worked out, or you just kind of
Honestly,
send it?
like John Cornwell, he's worked for Olin's he doesn't work for them anymore. He works for his hack Yamaha, but before that he worked for Olin's like in Europe and Sweden and everything. And he does all the setup stuff on my bike, and I never have to, like, I know once he's set it up, I got full trust in it, kind of thing.
Very
And like,
cool.
I haven't done many rain races for sure. I'm still getting used to it, but that's kind of all it is for me, is just getting used. Like, I'm not worried about the setup or anything like that. It's just me getting more used to riding in the rain, kind of thing.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. I mean, like I said, still good show, man, for that being your first time there. First AMA race. I mean, that's crazy, dude. That you
Yeah.
just show up, man, and freaking
Yeah.
just do your thing, man. That's great, man. I love to see it.
Hopefully
Um,
at Barber, like, I was just in actually the rain race, the second race, we just started to get up to kind of P10, like in the race. And I'm hoping in Barber, like, because, yeah, like in Atlanta, we didn't have any, like, I didn't have any, I had 4 laps before the qualifying hit around Atlanta. So, like, hopefully in Barber, I don't have to start from 22nd,
yeah.
basically. Like, 'cause that was pretty hard in itself, was like, if I could start up there more and like learn more from the faster guys up front, then it'd definitely be a lot of use for me. Because I'm trying to. The other thing is too, like, learn as much as I kind of can how to ride this bike fast, so that I can kind of bring it back to Canada and use it there too.
Yeah. Do you have like some type of method that you follow when you're learning new tracks? I mean, what is your sort of approach when you just show up to a track and it's like, all right, I got to figure this out. I got to figure it out now.
um, the first year that we raced CSBK, like with the Ninja 400, all the tracks were new to me. For like, and that was our national level. So like, I kind of got thrown in like head first then, if that makes sense, like on some pretty big tracks. Like, we got Calabogie and Mossport, which are two decent tracks here. And like, it takes from at first, like those first couple, that first year, figuring all those new tracks out in Canada taught me a lot. Like, it's just a track kind of thing, like, I don't know. I just go out there and kind of just ride and figure it out eventually.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And like,
Lap.
so what was that last part?
It just, like, the more laps, I do, the more I'll kind of figure out. And that's
Yeah,
comes back to like that road Atlanta. I'm more of like, I'll start out kind of slow and then like build up. So then at Atlanta, having that 4 laps was like a real pain for me, because I didn't have anything figured out yet.
yeah, for sure. And so, how many bikes do you have right now then?
So we've got the 1R7 in Canada, or in the USA, that we're racing in MotoAmerica. We've got 1R7 for CSBK, and then 2R6s for CSBK. The one's not done yet. The one's kind of done. Hopefully we can have them ready for round 2 of CSBK, because actually the first round of CSBK overlaps with Barber. So we'll be
Cool.
missing.
And then I guess you were saying that the specs are different with the R7 from CSBK to Moto America.
Yeah, yeah. In Canada, I think it's 95 horse. You're only allowed, and then after every race, they bring the bikes to like the Parc Fermé, which is the dyno, and they dyno every bike. And if it blows over that horsepower, you get either disqualified or your like position gets docked. So then in Moto America, like, you're just not allowed to do certain things to the bike. They don't
Mhm.
do the dyno afterwards. So you can build the Moto America one a lot better than you can build the CSBK one too. Like, in CSBK, you have to use all OEM. Like, you're not allowed to change the rims. You have to use OEM rims instead of like the OZ racing rims and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And you're allowed to change, like, it's more of like a stock class in Canada than Moto America.
yeah. Do a lot of people blow over? Is that something that happens a lot, or is it pretty
Yeah,
rare?
huge thing. Like
So that
huge annoying thing in Canada is probably the dyno, and a lot of people have different opinions on it because it also depends on the weather. Apparently, if it's cold out, the bike makes more power than when it's really hot.
yeah, and different
So,
dynos.
so then if you're tuning it in the so then sometimes if it's and then the humidity and then all of that comes into play. So then people sometimes they'll try to get their bike right to the limit, but they set it when it was hot out or whatever it is, or the dyno could be a horsepower off. So it's really hard to get it right up to the limit. It's always kind of better to just have a few less horse.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. You
Yeah,
put in the work, get a win, and then you blow over like what, 1 horsepower?
thing like the first the first round I ever did of CSBK on my Ninja 400, I got third in the second race, and we didn't know any of the rules really. We didn't really read them. We teched our bike and away we went. So we actually had a jerry can full of like just gas that we use at the farm. Like it's just pump gas, whatever that we were running. And we got disqualified because they have a specific spec fuel that you have to run, you know?
Hmm.
So yeah, we didn't know that. And then I lost that. We got disqualified from that race. And then I think we did blow over one race too. And I got second and I got disqualified from that race. And then after that, we kind of learned our lesson.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's that's scary. And then like just pump gas, you think they wouldn't punish you for that? I mean, how much of a that's
We
not
weren't,
going to enhance your performance.
it was pretty,
Yeah. And so is it hard when you're switching from the R7 to the R6?
it's, I'm hoping to get more used to it for sure. It's like the R6 is a really like high strung out like bike. Like it revs out to 18,000 and like the power band's all kind of above like 12, where like all the R7 is just low end torque. Like the R7, at least stock, I'm pretty sure it has almost the same torque as an R6 does. Like
Mhm.
the thing, I really like riding the R7. It's really fun. And the R6 is harder to ride for sure. But then, like yesterday I did a track day on the R6, and that was my first time back on it since riding an R7. And the first couple laps were like, whoa, this thing's completely different, and it needs to be like adjusted, I guess. But then after a while, it kind of got normal, and then got used to revving it out again, and yeah. But the R7 is so light and flicky, and it's really fun and easy to ride, I find.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
do you plan on riding the R6 down here at all, or is that, too far down the road to even worry about right now?
I think so. Yeah, I think I just got to learn the tracks on the twin, and then try to get competitive on the twin would be my goal for now. And then
Very
if
cool.
I later on down the road, like if the opportunity arose where like it made sense to move up to the super sport class, I'd do it. But yeah, we'll see how the Twins Cup goes.
Yeah. And are you wanting to? Well, do you know what rounds you're gonna try to do down here with AMA, or is that up in there too?
I think we're gonna try to do. I think almost all of them. We're not sure about Coda yet because it's really really far for us. But yeah, other than that, we're getting ready for Road America and all of that. So, and then Brainerd. But the Twins Cup doesn't run at all of the tracks that Moto America goes to. It
Yeah.
only so we're just gonna obviously go to the ones that the Twins Cup runs at, and but yeah, we're not so sure about Coda yet. We'll see how much I learn by then.
Awesome. And I mean, I actually met you at Jennings. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't go much further than that from where you are now. I mean, how was that drive?
Oh man, I think Texas is farther for us than Jennings. like Jennings is 13 or no, it might be a bit more. It's 13, 14 hours from us.
Uh,
And like Barber was 13, but I think Texas is like a day almost for us
mhm.
because it's like across the states, Like for us, we can go right down to Detroit and then take I-75 straight to Florida.
Cool. And
Yeah.
I guess y'all are stopping along the way, probably, or just hitting pit stops. I mean, how do you make that drive?
So me and my dad drives, and then whenever he gets tired, we usually drive for. It takes us 2 days to get there, kind of, and then we spend one night sleeping in the truck on the side of the road, or like on a truck stop wherever. I
Yeah,
usually the box, get the
man.
job done. Try to save some money because there's like, yeah, it already costs a lot to do MotoAmerica and everything. So paying for a hotel when you're on the road, and we only really sleep for like 5 or 6 hours, then we're right back to driving. So it does the trick.
Man, and I'm over here complaining about, a 5-hour drive to Talladega.
Like
That's what.
nearest track to me in Canada right now is Grand Bend. I think that's no, it's 3.5 hours from us.
Man,
Yeah.
and that's nothing for you. You don't even.
I,
That's like
I
a trip to the grocery store.
yeah, down there yesterday and drove back. It was good just for the test day.
Man, that's awesome. Very cool. Are you coming back to Jennings soon?
I'd love to. I really like Jennings. I don't know why. Like it's not a super big track or anything, and there's like not massive elevation change, but it's just really fun to burn laps there. So yeah,
Yeah,
whenever it works out, it'll probably be in the winter, like because it makes a lot of sense, like for us, because our tracks here close basically after October. Everything like or I'd say like September, like end of September, beginning of October, everything's closed here. So then everybody goes down to Jennings to test for the winter, kind of. So then
yeah.
that's kind of when we'll be, if it makes sense, going down there, testing some stuff.
Very cool, man. We'll have to link up again.
Yeah, yeah. Go
Yeah,
for
yeah. They only shut down for the summer, so I guess it's kind of the opposite of Canada. It gets too hot at Jennings, so they shut down for a couple months during the summer. But other than that, they're wide open. We
it.
were. Oh, I think I lost you for a second. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we were actually at Jennings this past weekend. Precision Track Days put on an event there. They're a new organization, but it was a good time, man. The weather was great. I mean, it was probably a little bit too hot for your taste, but man, it was a good weekend.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Very
Jen,
cool.
always fun.
Nice, man. So, what do you think was like the hardest part you think about the your first Moto America weekend?
Figuring everything out, kind of like it sounds stupid, but like every track I go to, there's obviously a different pit in, pit out, stuff like that. So
Yep.
figuring all that out, and then like when to go out on track was the other thing, because there wasn't like in Canada, there's kind of a PA system, and there you have like the radio. So figuring that out, but then once we figured out how to get onto the track and when to be on the track, and like not void any of the rules for the tire stickers and stuff, we were golden. Like we figured it out. Then we were burning laps.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Well, it's not that bad then, right? To get into the
No.
to get into the race, at least it's not too bad. That's pretty inspiring. You're doing it with a team of a couple people coming down from Canada, so
Yeah.
nobody else should be complaining. We just have to get a little bit faster, I guess, is where we're slacking. Yeah, man. What I mean about that and I've seen you ride, and you've got I would describe it as like a very you have like a very good flow, I guess is what I would say. Like very smooth, very good flow. But Where'd you get that from? I mean, I don't imagine that came from riding dirt bikes, huh? Or maybe it did.
I don't I don't know. One thing that I notice about my riding that I'm really trying to work on is I stick my knee out super far
Mhm.
and I kind of look goofy, but I'm really tall on the bike that way. So like I don't know, it just looks funny if you look at a picture. But I think the Ninja 400 really helped learn roll speed because you have to with that bike, like to be competitive in that class. Like it was all just about rolling late into the corner and whatnot. And I think that helped me get a lot more comfortable with like riding a bike just in general.
Very cool. So not so much the dirt bikes because I've heard that helps out a lot too.
I think the dirt bikes just help. Like I love riding my dirt bike around, and it's just like I just really like training on it. Like it's just fun riding a motorcycle, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. Do you
like get on the gas and all of that, and brake and kind of lose traction. Like there's not as much traction on a dirt bike, so play around with that a little bit easier. Not as scary.
does your R6 ever break loose like that? I mean, do you get a lot of movement from the rear end back there, or are you mostly pretty hooked in on that thing too?
No, when I'm coming out of a corner, I'll get it moving. When the tires are brand new, it's pretty hard to get it moving, but you can. But then like once they start falling off, like you can definitely get it to wiggle a little bit. And then the front tire, like if I come into a corner too late and I'm like on the front brake still trying to turn the thing in for some reason, it'll chatter and whatnot. But the R7 actually like it does it a lot worse. Like the R7, the frame of it is like a steel tube frame instead of like a big nice frame like the R6 has. So it flexes a lot, and like if you actually look down where the chain runs in the swing arm, you can see that it hits the tire and it hits like the side of the swing arm because it just flexes that much in the corner.
Wow. Okay.
So I have an issue where it's like if it's a high speed kind of a kink corner, the front end like pushes out really wide, or if I'm on the gas and it's like a sharp and I'm trying to turn it, it'll slip out from me, like stuff like that. And then the other thing is with the R7, I'm trying to learn how to like back it into the corner with the rear brake more, which
Mhm.
I don't really do on an R6 yet, but I'm starting to get more comfortable doing it on the 7. That Barber on Charlotte's Web there, it's like really fun. You can hear the tires like squealing.
Man, is that something that us regular club racing guys should be working on too? Is that a pretty important skill you think with the getting on the rear brake and sliding it around? Because I never use my rear brake, but if that's a pro tip, then I need to get on it now.
I don't think the sliding it around like the leg dangle and all of that. Like I'm trying to learn how to do that. It seems a little bit overkill right now, but I do wonder like it definitely just even tapping on the rear brake a little bit, it just settles the bike a lot, it seems, or it's made it seems really comfortable for me. Like
Okay, for
I was kind of the same way. Last year, I spent the whole year riding the R6 with no rear brake, and then
mhm.
John actually was getting mad at me, and he was making me start using the R7 like rear brake. And then after that, I actually started to get more comfortable with like it sliding around in the rear coming into corners. And now it's like if it's not doing that, it kind of feels awkward.
really
Yeah.
okay. So you're using the rear brake to set up the corner entry to get you squared to come out. Is that what's happening?
Just to slow down. I'm not at the skill where I can like back it into the corner and have it sideways like Danilo or whatever. But
Yeah.
I just use like if I'm coming into the brake zone really hot and I grab the front brakes and everything's like right into my arms and it's all like jamming into the front. If I just rest on the back, it seems to settle it a lot more. And then like the back end kind of on the R7 at least, like it'll go sideways a little bit and like slows it down for sure. Like it definitely helps
Mhm.
slow me down.
Nice. Pro
Yeah.
tip right there. Guess I'll start working that too, man. Very cool. Are you and I mean it makes sense, coming from the 400s and moving up, like why you have that corner speed. Is that also something that I mean, I know that it comes with time, but is there any way that us normal guys can sort of work to build our corner speed too? Is there some sort of technique that you use with that?
I'm still really working on it. I know, like, when I got on the track with Rocco and those guys, like, they have way more corner speed than I have, So it was
Mhm.
like, wow, to see that. Like, but I think it's all just, yeah, laps and burning fuel, getting
Yeah.
more comfortable with, like, just more comfortable with going faster on the bike in the corner kind of thing.
Mhm.
Because if it, like, the way I kind of see it, if it's sticking and everything's like okay, and then that kind of means like you could go faster there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart. Got it. Noted, man. Noted. Learning so
But
much right now.
400, like, it's also a really light and flicky bike, and like it's really easy to corner, and they carry a lot of roll speed. So when you get kind of used to that or whatever, and then you take some of that and put it onto the other bikes, it helps out a lot.
When you're at pace on the like the R6, the bigger bike, um how hard, like how hard are you loading the front end going into corners? Are you just smashing that thing and pushing it to the limit, or is there something special that you do there too?
Last year I had no uh I never touched the rear brake. So last year I'd run up to the corner and grab a handful of front brake, and the back end would come up in the air, and it was like, holy crap. But I'd at least get it slowed down. And
Hmm.
it would slow down. It'd be a lot of like pressure into my arms. But then this year on the R7, we put a foam block kind of in front of the tank. So I kind of rest up against that now, so it's not as much like pressure in my arm, so I don't get arm pump as much.
Hmm.
And then, like, yeah, just resting on that rear brake, and it makes everything so much like smoother for me rather than just jamming the thing into the corner all the way on the front brake. Is
Very
what I
cool.
seem to notice.
Sweet. And I guess with you heading to Barber next, I mean, what's your favorite part of the track at Barber, man?
Charlotte's Web for
The
sure.
web.
It,
Just going in
you,
there full speed, back in the air.
yeah, and My dad actually was standing at the pit wall, and he was listening because I was actually near the end of the day at the STT track day. It was starting to kind of rain, and I was the only guy on track, and you could hear the tire, like the rear tire coming into the corner, just like squealing. I really liked that corner for that reason. And it's
Very
a corner to like practice coming into it and like getting on the rear brake and kind of slowing the whole thing down, scrubbing the speed off.
sweet. What about Road Atlanta? Favorite part of the track?
Uh the finish line, I think.
Coming off that right hander or just the
Really
straight right
tricky.
there?
Road Atlanta was really tricky. I
Yeah, I
think my
haven't.
least part was the S bends. Like
Hmm.
the first two S bends there where you really have to you run over the curves and you go hard to the right. That one's tricky. But once I get more comfortable with it, I'm sure it's going to be fun. But yeah, like, I didn't have many laps around there, and those guys were going curb to curb there.
Hmm. And
So that part's tricky for sure.
even more so in the rain, right?
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's awesome, man.
And on the
Uh,
inside of all the curving there at Atlanta, it just pools up with water. And it's like now you're just dodging puddles. It's crazy.
yeah, we saw that in the races. That was wild.
Yeah. JD Beach there, he
Yeah,
went down like exact same thing. They were gnarly.
yeah, he had a great run, and then you just get offline a little bit. It seemed like, and then you're just done. Is that kind of what you felt too?
Just
Oh
hydro
man.
the whole thing just
That's why. Well, hopefully y'all get better weather in Barber, man. I mean,
Yeah, I'm excited for Barber. Hopefully it all goes well, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun race.
yeah, I can't wait to watch, man. Absolutely. Um, do you have a favorite rider in Moto America that's not Jake Gagne?
Definitely.
other, other than Jake Gagne, what do we who would have got?
You can see it right here.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
No,
Camp P is the second then.
I did a super camp thing, a flat track little school with Jake Gagne in Colorado over the winter, and I
Yeah.
kind of spent a little. I spent 4 days kind of with him here and there, and like he's a really nice guy, and yeah, to spend some time with him on those little bikes and then watch him rip that super bike in Moto America is crazy, you know, and like yeah, and John helps him out too, and he helps me out, so definitely Jake.
Very cool, man. I mean, I like Gagne too, but I think his time's almost up, man. I think they're coming for him this year.
I got a few tricks up their sleeve yet. I do. I hope the Yamaha will pull through. I'm a big Yamaha guy.
So if you could ride a super bike, it'd be a Yamaha
Yeah, for
then,
sure.
for 100%. Not even the Ducati, no V4.
I feel maybe I'd love to try riding a Ducati sometime because they're so different and everything. But I was really comfortable on the R6 and I like the R7. And like I'm sure if you built an R1 to a certain spec, like whatever, like they're really competitive, good running bikes and really easy to ride is what you hear about an R1 kind of.
Yeah,
I I really like that about them.
yeah.
But
I
obviously,
mean,
like I have no there's no superbike contract or anything with Yamaha. So it's not like yeah, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, if some other company was like, "Hey, would you ride this?" I'd take it any day. But if I had a choice, it'd be a Yamaha for sure.
nice. I mean, you're loyalist already, man. He's locked in. We got to get you on a Kawasaki, man. I think.
I rode the Ninja. It was good, but the build quality I find too. Like actually, the R7 isn't as good, but the R6 like it's a really good race bike. I find really easy to work on, and everything just makes sense on it for me. Like and you can plug it into your computer and play around with stuff. I don't know. I really like the bike, and you can have it like John Cornwell said a few times. Like you could have it set up backwards, and it still kind of works well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the R6 is I mean just Yamaha in general. I mean they've proven themselves at all
Yeah,
levels of motorcycle competition. I mean they're struggling in MotoGP right now. But
yeah.
I mean hopefully that's only temporary, right?
Yeah.
um, do you have a lot of time? Oh, go ahead. What was that?
They're going to be changing the rules in 27.
Yeah,
Yeah,
27.
hopefully something changes up there. Maybe
Yeah,
Yamaha come back on top.
I think that's what all the Jap manufacturers are doing at this point. They're just focusing on these new motors. I think they're done.
Those
Do,
V4s are insane. Yeah.
do I mean with your schedule? I mean, do you have a lot of time to watch any racing, like World Superbike, MotoGP?
Kind of whenever I get free time. Like I wake up at 5, kind of in the morning, milk cows, and then from like I do whatever chores that I'm given around the farm, and then I get a little break in between there or whatever, and then I milk cows again, kind of at like 5 p.m. until
Yeah.
like 7 p.m. And then so after that, I'll watch some races or do whatever, go riding on the dirt bikes.
Man, that's the life, dude. That's the life. Man, you're working on a farm like during the week, weekends you're just racing and like tearing it up
Yeah,
with
yeah. It's
dirt bike riding like in between.
fun.
No way, man. Who's your favorite GP rider?
Jorge Martinez.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
really
a
like his attitude. I like the
yeah,
way he rides too. He's really fast.
nice. You think he's gonna win it?
I think he could be a contender for sure. I don't know if Ducati will let him win it though.
Yeah.
that's another question because, like, what happened last year? There was some weird stuff going on with his bike, in my opinion. At that, I'm not sure exactly what race it was, but like Pecco's bike was just a rocket, and then it was Jorge's bike wouldn't even like the whole shot device and all the starting
Mhm.
devices wouldn't even work on his bike and stuff. None of the electronics would all of a sudden work. It's
Yeah,
really weird.
there was, man. I had like this whole.
That was like the deciding for Jorge.
Yeah, he could have won it, man. And I had like this whole like discussion with a buddy of mine. Like he was saying that he'd read this article where Ducati was saying that they share, data throughout all the teams. I'm like, man, there's no way that anybody else is looking at Pecco Bagnaya's data, right?
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
way. But yeah, they were trying to make it seem like all the Ducati teams work together and share all that type of
yeah,
stuff. I'm like, yeah, Pecco's looking at Martine's data, but
yeah.
he's not. They're
Whatever.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
they peek at everyone else's.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah, man. Um, yeah, we got a race this weekend, man. Le Mans. I'll be watch. I'll be up. I'll be watching.
I'm excited for it. Hopefully, I got a cousin actually, a really distant cousin in Moto3.
Really?
Yeah, name's Colin Vire.
Very cool. So that the speed just runs in the family then.
It's in the blood.
Yeah,
Some
and then you're racing, so you can't go watch him race.
yeah.
No way, man. Um, with like, I guess like fitness wise too. Just real quick, man. And I won't keep you here all night, man. I know you got stuff to do. Are we even in the same time zone? What time zone are you in?
Really close. It's 9:48 for me right now.
Oh man. All right. Okay. Yeah, we're same time zone then. All right. But yeah. I mean, just real quick, man. With like, it's hard to race at the professional level, like from a fitness perspective, right?
Yeah.
Do you have like any sort of like workout routine or anything that you do?
Honestly, I think between the farm and having to like just do farm work, if that makes sense, like lifting pails and feeding calves and doing all of that, and between like just riding the bike, kind of not every day, but like as much as I can, and I'm trying to get a bicycle sorted out as well, like just get like cardio and all of that, and I have a rowing machine and stuff like that, but really I'm not like trying to bulk up or do anything like that. I'm just trying to build up my cardio, kind of get more time on the bike, stuff like that. I don't
For
I don't
sure.
stress that. I don't stress the whole fitness part of it too hard right now. Like I'm not in a factory team right now, but I'm sure they're like obviously you see those guys are biking like miles and miles and miles. But eventually
Eventually,
I
huh?
think it definitely helps for sure being fit.
Do you like have a hard time getting through an entire race, or is it? I mean, you're pretty comfortable at this point.
Yeah, no, I last year I rode the R6 like I like just so hard on the front brake. I got so much arm pump throughout the year and I just like worked through it that I think that helped a lot and just stuff like that and doing definitely like riding the dirt bike around. Like I think that is a huge help. Like I'll do like a maybe like a 20-minute moto kind of thing at our sandpit track that we have and
Hmm.
just like my arms like really fired up and worked up and like that's good enough for me kind of thing. Like once I get the like everything working and yeah,
Man, I have to get a dirt bike, man. That's all everybody's been telling me. It's on the to-do list.
they're
Did
fun.
you ever race dirt bikes too?
I went to a few like motocross tracks here and there, but I never actually raced them. No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to get one, man. It seems like the trick, you know. It seems like
It
that's a pretty good part of
I think
building
it
the
helps
skills.
with the basic, like just riding a bike kind of thing.
For
Getting
sure.
used, yeah, getting used to it.
Um,
Because that's the thing about a 600 too is like it's such a like people downplay how fast a super sport bike really is. Like in my opinion, like an R6 is so fast. It's a really fast bike. Like a super bike is like crazy. But like that Ninja 400, when I hopped on the R6, like it scared me to death. It
Mhm.
was so much faster and so much bigger that it was like, holy cow! Like how can I ever get comfortable with this? But then once I got used to it, like my 400, then it started to get to me. But if I never like rode the 400 before and got comfortable like riding a slower bike, like harder kind of thing, I don't think I would have gotten comfortable on the R6 ever because it's so fast and big and like
Mhm.
it was just so aggressive for me at the time.
So there was a so every year there's endurance races at Jennings, the Separano, the Endurance Classic, and they do a 4 hour and a 6 hour endurance race, and or I think it's 3 and 6 actually. But I
Huh.
raced in those this year, and we were on a Ninja 400. They have
Yeah.
all the lightweight classes, but we did a 400, and it was kind of the same thing with me too. It riding the 400 and going back to the 600, my pace was way off. The 600 just felt way faster. All my markers and everything were messed up in it. I'm just now getting back to where I'm comfortable on my 636 again.
Yeah. It's just
Sick.
such a bigger bike. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome though, man. But yeah, it's like I said that. So it blows my mind, like especially when you're swapping between R7 and R6 Superbike, and you're doing it regularly. It blows my mind.
It's once you kind of get used to it, it's not as big of a deal for sure. But yeah, there's little things like the R7 doesn't have a blipper either, and the R6 has like a downshift blipper. So just getting used to like on the R7 using the clutch, and then on the R6 not using the clutch. It's kind of weird that way.
For sure. Sweet man. Well, man, we have a long season down here, but I mean, I guess you're looking at 2 series that you're going to be racing, man. But what's some of your goals this season, man? What are you looking to get out of this year of racing?
I'd really like to get top 10 in a MotoAmerica race at
Yep.
whatever track. I'd really like to get a top 10 finish, like and like be competitive more. And then in Canada, I'm gonna be missing most of the rounds, I think, but I'd like to be going for like maybe I'd like to win a few twins races probably in Canada and then be competitive in like the Pro 600 class there too.
Sweet. And are you thinking about transitioning all the way into Moto America, or you can't leave CSBK behind, or have you had any thoughts about that at all?
I'm sure once I get more used to Moto America and if I was actually like once I get more competitive with it, I wouldn't have a problem not doing CSBK. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, very cool. Well, like I said, I'm excited to watch you race, man. I think you're going to do just fine at Barber too. Um, that's always one of my favorite rounds to watch. So, man, we'll be watching. We'll be rooting for you for sure. Um, with like one more question for you. I heard a story about you from from my buddy Andy. Andy's a real big friend of our channel here, man. We love Andy, Mr. Pale Rider on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he told me this story about where he pretty much pulled a gun on you and your dad. You remember that?
Yeah, no. Like in Canada, handguns and stuff are all illegal here. So I don't see much of that stuff. And then Andy's like, he's a really nice guy. He doesn't seem too like intimidating to us. And we were kind of talking about how everybody in the South down there, like they have a passion for guns and everything. And he goes, yeah, I do too. And my dad's like, no way. And pulls out this Glock and he starts showing. And my dad takes a picture of it. He's like flabbergasted. It was hilarious. But yeah, we still got that picture. He's showing our whole family. Look at this guy's Glock. It's funny.
Yeah, man. Andy was like, he said he pretty much told you guys, everybody has guns out here, man. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. And we didn't realize like he meant literally everybody. Like, yeah,
literally everyone, man. Not even from like a safety perspective. People just collect guns, especially down here in the South.
wild.
Yeah, it's part of the culture, man. It's part of the culture. Like like the Mandalorians, man. Like weapons are part of the culture down here.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool stuff.
Sweet, man. Well, like I said, I won't take up too much of your time, man. Thanks for coming on.
No
Like I said,
problem.
so I thought it'd be real cool to just chat with you, man. I mean, you got, real big future ahead of you, I think, man. Just like your style and the way you ride. I mean, we're going to see some big things from you. I'm calling it now, man. We've been right on our predictions so far. Um, and I don't think they're going to be wrong anytime soon, but I see you doing a lot of big things, man. Especially down here in MotoAmerica for sure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, any shout outs you got for anybody? Any sponsors, anybody you want to holler at real quick?
My dad and John Cornwell, for sure. They like I wouldn't be doing it without them.
Awesome, man.
I wouldn't be able to do it without them. And the cows.
The cows.
Yeah. Big
They're
thank
doing.
they wouldn't be able to do it without them either.
How many cows y'all have up there, man?
I think head wise 500, 600.
Goodness. So that's a big farm then.
It's not too small, no.
Very cool, man. And where can people follow you, man? If
Instagram and Facebook, it's all just Bryce DeBoer 177.
very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
For anybody that's listening, yeah, go check him out on Instagram. Drop him a like and give this guy some support, man, for sure. Um, but yeah, like I said, thanks for taking the time out, man. I love talking to the people that are on the way up. The people who don't really get out there in the media a lot, man. Who don't have the opportunity to talk a lot, man. So it was real cool to just talk to you and learn a little bit about you, dude, for sure.
Yeah, man. No, I really appreciate it anytime.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, like I said, thanks for coming, and we will. Hopefully, I can get you on here on another one after you go and get that podium at Barber.
Yeah, we'll see you, man. Hopefully, I'll come back with some good news to share.
Yeah, dude. Well, thanks for joining us, man. We'll talk to you later, all right?
Yeah, rock on, man. Have a good night.